Officer, I haven't broken any law. Why am I in cuffs? Reid asks. Keller lifts a small plastic bag. Cocaine. Pulled it from under your seat. Routine stop. Malcolm Reid stares. That wasn't in my car. They all say that. Keller's voice turns sharp. Black man, sharp suit, luxury ride. People like you think you're untouchable. He pivots toward onlookers. Phones raised. Recording. Got another dealer tonight, folks, Keller calls. Bag of coke tucked right under his seat. A woman from the crowd yells, "Throw him in jail!" Reid's face stays composed. Officer, log the evidence number in front of those cameras. I don't take instructions from you, Keller snaps, cutting him off. You're just another black man who thought rules didn't apply. What he doesn't notice, the FBI badge tucked in Reid's wallet. What Keller doesn't realize, he has just planted narcotics in the vehicle of Malcolm Reid, Director of the FBI. In 4 minutes, Keller's career collapses. In 28 days, he'll sit in front of a grand jury. Right now, he smirks, clearing his throat, convinced he's insulated by the badge on his chest. In reality, he's just detonated his own life with one arrogant decision. 15 minutes earlier, Malcolm Reid drives alone. No motorcade, no chase vehicles, no flashing lights, just a 53-year-old man heading home to see his mother. The interstate stretches ahead of him, mostly empty at this hour. Traffic thins as he passes the last Atlanta exits. His phone rests in the cup holder, Bluetooth paired. His mother's voice comes through the speakers, familiar and worn, softening the long day. You sound bone-tired, baby, Lillian Reid says. Malcolm smiles despite himself. Long week, Mama, but I'll be there in about 40 minutes. She's been asking about work. He keeps it surface level. Meetings, briefings, budget fights. He doesn't mention the police accountability task force he's quietly assembling, the one he's nurtured for 8 months. Not yet. The politics are fragile. Reform always is one misstep and doors slam shut. You drive careful, you hear me, Lillian says. Her voice carries a gravity it didn't have years back. The heart issues slow her, but she's still his mother. Still giving orders. Yes, ma'am, Reid replies. And when you get here, I made your favorite peach cobbler, still warm. Malcolm chuckles. You didn't have to do all that. I know I didn't have to, she answers. I wanted to. They wander through small talk. His sister's new promotion. The neighbor's dog that barks every sunrise. Little things. The kind of conversation that feels like being home even when you're still miles away on the highway. Reid glances at his suit jacket, folded on the back seat, deep navy, tailored perfectly. He wore it to a Senate hearing that morning, another round of oversight theatrics. He'd testified about federal oversight of local police departments. Senators fired pointed questions. He gave measured answers. Reform doesn't live in these hearing rooms, he told them. It lives in policies, training, and accountability structures that actually function. Now he hums with the radio. Old Motown, his mother's favorite. Music that sounds like memory in Sunday dinners. I'll see you soon, Mama. I'll be waiting, she says. He ends the call. The road ahead is dark, calm, almost peaceful. Interstate 85 slices through Georgia like a long artery. At night, it's mostly long-haul trucks and late-night travelers. People heading somewhere. People trying to get home. Reid keeps cruise control at 70. No rush. He's been driving this stretch since he was a teenager. Every exit, every curve feels familiar. He knows the bend where you can glance back and watch Atlanta's lights fade in the rear view. The engine hums steady, dependable. He bought this sedan himself, a straightforward car, nothing flashy, not the kind of vehicle that broadcasts rank or power. He prefers it that way, less attention, more normalcy. His thoughts drift back to the task force, to spreadsheets, testimonies, stubborn sheriffs, 8 months of quiet work, building unlikely coalitions, collecting data, charting misconduct patterns across a dozen departments, not to wage war, but to repair, create guardrails that protect communities, and also protect officers who actually do the job right. That mission is why he accepted the director's chair in the first place. Not the title, the chance to move the needle. His phone buzzes with a text. A message from his deputy director flashes on the screen. He decides to check it after he stops. In the rear view, lights appear, blue and red, strobing against the dark. Reid's eyes flick to the speedometer. 70 on the dot! No lane drifting, no missed signals. His brow tightens. The cruiser closes in, lights growing brighter. He signals, eases onto the shoulder. The patrol car mirrors him. He shifts into park, engine idling, places both hands high on the wheel, fingers spread, visible. It's instinct now, part FBI training, part something older, something Lillian drilled into him when he first got his license. Keep your hands where they can see, baby. Don't give them any excuse. The cruiser door opens. Footsteps crunch on gravel. Slow. Deliberate. A flashlight beam slices through the driver's window. A tap on the glass. Reid lowers the window. Cool night air slips inside. License and registration. No greeting, no explanation. The officer's face is backlit by the flashlight. Features obscured. The tone is clipped. Professional in a way that doesn't feel professional at all. Reid moves deliberately toward the glove box, exaggeratedly slow. He retrieves the registration, then his wallet, and passes everything over. The officer studies the license longer than necessary, flicking the beam from the ID to Reid's face, then around the interior. "Step out of the vehicle, sir." The "sir" lands flat, like something recited from a handbook. Reid doesn't ask why. He doesn't argue. He knows the numbers. He helped assemble them. Young black men stop 3 times more often than white drivers in this county. Searches run at 4 times the rate. Use of force 6 times higher. He opens the door and steps out. The air is warmer than he expected. Late summer refusing to let go. The officer circles the car, flashlight sweeping across the seats. His gaze snags on the suit jacket. Nice suit for someone driving through here this late. There it is, the assumption, wrapped in a compliment. Someone through here. Reid says nothing. The officer walks back toward his squad car. Reid hears the low murmur of the radio, his voice dropping as he talks to dispatch. Running a stop. Possible 23. Drug suspect. Reid recognizes the code. Every agent does. He hasn't run any stop. There was no violation to begin with. Minutes stretch thin. Reid stands by his car, waiting, hands relaxed. Cars race past on the interstate, headlights sweeping over them. Nobody slows. Nobody pulls over. Why would they? Just another traffic stop. Just another night. The officer returns and still doesn't hand back the license. I'm going to need you to open the trunk. May I ask the reason? Routine inspection, he says. Reid knows his Fourth Amendment rights. Without probable cause, he can decline. But he also knows what happens when black men say no. How quickly routine becomes resisting. How survival sometimes looks like compliance. I'll open it, Reid answers. He moves to the driver's side, presses the trunk button. The lid pops with a soft thump. The officer walks back, peers inside. A gym bag, an emergency kit, jumper cables. Nothing exotic. Nothing close to contraband. Then the officer does something Reid doesn't anticipate. He walks back to his own cruiser and pops his trunk. From where Reid stands, the angle hides most of it, but he hears it. Trunk lifting, a compartment sliding, something being retrieved. When the officer returns, blue nitrile gloves cover his hands. He hadn't been wearing gloves before. Reid's pulse ticks faster. Recognition, not fear. He's read too many reports, debriefed too many victims, watched too many body cam clips. Reading about it and feeling it wrap around you are different things. The officer crouches by the driver's seat, reaches under, slides something into place. Then he circles, opens the door again, leans in as if searching, performing. 8 seconds later, he straightens, holding a small plastic bag triumphantly aloft. "Found this under your seat." Reid stares at the baggie. Clear plastic, maybe 2 grams of white powder. "That's not mine," he says evenly. The officer smiles, thin and icy. "They all say that!" The handcuffs come out in one practiced motion. Metal clicks around Reid's wrists, too tight, digging into skin. "You're under arrest for possession of a controlled substance," the officer declares. Reid keeps his voice level. "Officer, I need you to listen very carefully." "Save the speech for booking," the officer mutters, shoving him toward the cruiser. The hand on Reid's shoulder isn't gentle. It's a reminder who has power, who doesn't. Cars streak by, red and white lines against the dark. The world keeps moving, indifferent. The officer keys his radio. "Got a 23 in custody? Need transport." Reid stands beside the patrol car, hands cuffed behind him, wrists burning. The night presses heavier now. He counts slow breaths, letting training steady him. Catalog details, badge number, time, every procedural shortcut, body cam location, center chest mount, tilted slightly. It's capturing everything. The officer scribbles in his notebook, pen scratching paper. Reid speaks again. Measured. "Officer, call your supervisor, immediately!" The officer looks up, annoyance flickering, then something close to uncertainty. "What did you just say?" "Call your supervisor," Reid repeats. "Now!" "I don't take orders from you," the officer snaps. Reid doesn't push. Not yet. Let him keep walking into the trap he built. Let the cameras keep rolling. The officer steps closer, voice dropping, harder now. "You people always think you're special, think rules don't matter. There it is, no mask, no pretense. You people." Reid stays silent, drawing slow, precise breaths. FBI protocol spool through his mind. Observe, document, don't escalate. Let them expose themselves. The officer pulls out his phone, snaps a photo of the evidence bag, then one of Reid in cuffs. Evidence documentation, or a trophy for group chats? Hard to tell these days. "This your car?" he asks. "Yes." "Registered to you?" "Yes." "And you expect me to believe you didn't know about cocaine under your seat?" "I expect you to follow procedure. Call your supervisor, read my ID again, and think carefully about the next choices you make." The officer's jaw clenches. He's not used to this. Suspects who sound like lawyers, who don't beg. He stalks back toward his cruiser, radio crackling. Reid catches fragments, raised voice, defensive edges, routine stop, found substance, subject being difficult, demanding a supervisor. Another patrol car appears, lights flashing, summoned earlier. This wasn't random, it was coordinated. Another easy score. A second officer steps out, older, sergeant stripes on his sleeve. What have we got? Traffic stop. Found coke. Suspects acting strange. Keeps insisting on a supervisor. Keller explains. The sergeant's eyes move over Reid, then the sedan, then the neatly folded jacket visible through the glass. Something doesn't quite fit. Let me see his ID. Keller hands over the license. The sergeant studies it, and his eyes widen just a fraction, enough for Reid to notice. Where'd you say you found the dope? Under the driver's seat. Standard search. He consent to that search? A beat of silence. I had probable cause, Keller answers. What cause? Another pause? Longer. Heavier. Suspicious behavior, Keller finally says. The sergeant glances from Reid back to him. Turn on your body cam playback. I want to watch it. It's all routine, Keller protests. By the book. Play it anyway, the sergeant insists. They walk back to the cruiser, screens glowing blue in the dark shoulder. Reid stands alone now, cuffs biting into his wrists. The position is designed to wear you down, to make you smaller, more compliant. Tractor trailers roar by on I-85, the air rocking him slightly with each passing rig. He thinks of his mother, porch light on, peach cobbler cooling under foil. Thinks of the task force, months of interviews, charts, corrective recommendations that some called radical. Most of those stories came from people with no leverage, no badges, no powerful friends on speed dial. They couldn't pull 3 federal SUVs to the roadside in minutes. The sergeant returns, expression smoothed over. Sir, I'm sorry for the trouble. We'll need to sort a few things out. I understand, Reid says. But first, you're going to remove these cuffs and secure that evidence bag properly. Keep the serial number visible because in about 7 minutes, 3 FBI vehicles will be here, and they're going to be extremely interested in how you've handled planted evidence. Both officers freeze. What? Reid tilts his head toward his car. My wallet. Check it again. Carefully this time. Keller suddenly looks smaller, authority draining out of him. He retrieves the wallet, opens it. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Director Malcolm Reid. The badge glints under the cruiser's lights. Gold official. Impossible to argue with. The sergeant's face drains, his posture stiffening. Keller's hand trembles. Sir, there has to be some misunderstanding. What you were just doing is on video, Reid cuts in. Tone still calm, but undeniably commanding. Every second, from your trunk to my car, from my car back to your hand, then under my seat, all of it recorded. Keller's mouth opens and closes like he's searching for a script that doesn't exist. I followed protocol, he mutters. You planted evidence. That's not... I found it. It was there. 6 months ago, that cocaine was logged as evidence in one of your cases, Reid says. Case 2024-0719. Your arrest, your seizure, evidence that should have been destroyed by now. Instead, it's riding around under my seat. Serial number HG762. Want to explain that? Silence hangs heavy. The sergeant reaches for his radio, but Reid speaks first. Too late. I've already called it in. FBI Atlanta field office is en route. So is internal affairs. You've got one choice left. Cooperate. Do this the easy way or the hard way, Reid finishes. Keller's face twists. Panic, anger, frantic calculation. The sergeant finally barks, "Get those cuffs off him, now!" Metal clicks open. Reid rubs his wrists. Red grooves already forming. He'll photograph them later. More documentation. Down the highway, a cluster of headlights speeds toward them. Multiple vehicles moving with coordination, not coincidence. Keller paces, phone pressed to his ear, voice tight and rambling. The sergeant stands a few steps away from him now, instinctively distancing himself from the implosion. 3 dark SUVs pull onto the shoulder, lights low but unmistakably federal. Doors open in sequence. Agents step out in dark suits, FBI shields visible on belts. Agent Lauren Pierce leads them, her gaze immediately locking on Reid. She's worked alongside him for 6 years. She takes in the scene in a heartbeat. Reid, unshaken but marked by cuffs, officers rattled, cruiser lights spinning. Her jaw hardens. She heads straight for Reid. "Director, Lauren, we'll take it from here," she says quietly. "Secure the scene," Reid orders. "That evidence bag gets logged. I want his body cam preserved, and I want both their names spelled correctly." Pierce nods and turns to the sergeant. "Names, now!" He complies immediately. Keller's still on the phone until Pierce steps over and ends the call with a firm tap. "You're going to want an attorney," she tells him flatly. The scene flips in minutes. What started as a routine stop becomes a federal crime scene. Yellow tape, evidence placards, flash photography, everything documented. Officer Brian Keller stands near his cruiser, now more suspect than cop. 14 years on the job, 38 complaints, 0 discipline. Tonight, that streak ends. He watches agents move methodically. His body cam is unclipped, powered down, sealed into an evidence bag. His trunk is opened and cataloged. They discover a hidden compartment, not standard hardware. Inside, 3 more matching baggies, same labels. Evidence that should have been destroyed months ago. Keller's face goes ash gray. Pierce walks back to Reid. "We've got enough. Camera shows him slipping the bag into your car. Serial numbers tied directly back to previous seizures." "How many?" Reid asks. 3 extra bags in the compartment, all logged as the evidence from his earlier arrests, none destroyed per the 90-day protocol, she answers. Reid nods, unsurprised. This is the pattern he's been charting for months, a pattern repeating across a dozen departments. Officers banking evidence, redeploying it when quotas loom, padding numbers, hitting bonus thresholds. "Director Reid," Keller stammers for the first time. "Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't know." "You didn't know who I was," Reid says. "That isn't remorse. That's panic, because you finally got caught." "No, sir, How many others?" Reid cuts in. Keller blinks. "What? How many people did you do this to? People who weren't federal directors, who couldn't summon a convoy with 1 phone call. People who sat in county cells because you needed better stats." Keller lowers his gaze to the asphalt. "How many?" Reid presses. There's no answer. Only the low hum of traffic. Pierce's phone vibrates. She glances at the screen. "Internal Affairs wants to open a full investigation tonight," she says. "Tell them to proceed," Reid replies. The backup sergeant approaches, expression cautious. "Director Reid, on behalf of the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, I want to assure you," Reid raises a hand. "Don't assure me of anything. Just cooperate, fully. No spin, no delays." "Yes, sir," the sergeant answers. "And call your sheriff," Reid adds. "Tell him exactly what happened out here. Then tell him I want every case Keller has touched in the last 14 years pulled. Every arrest, every seizure, every complaint file." The sergeant swallows hard. "That's a lot of cases." "I'm aware." More vehicles arrive. Crime scene vans, internal affairs investigators, an assistant U.S. attorney. The shoulder of I-85 becomes crowded asphalt. Keller now sits in the back of an FBI SUV, hands uncuffed, but future evaporating. He's not formally arrested yet, but he isn't free either. Pierce hands Reid his wallet, license, and phone. Your mother's called 3 times, she says. Reid checks the clock, almost midnight. He was supposed to arrive around 11. He dials. Lillian answers on the first ring, fear already in her voice. "Malcolm, where are you? I've been worried sick." "I'm all right, Mama, I'm sorry. Work came up," he says, choosing each word. "I'll be there soon." "You sure you're okay? You sound—" "I promise. I'm fine," he lies gently. "Keep that cobbler warm." He hangs up, guilt sitting heavy in his chest. She's home alone, pacing the kitchen, while he stands in a crime scene he never asked for. Pierce studies him. "You want to head back? We can manage this." "No," Reid says. "I stay until every piece of evidence is tagged, every statement recorded. This needs to be bulletproof." "It already is," Pierce replies. "We've got him on camera planting drugs in your car." Reid shakes his head. "That's one cop. I want the system that elevated him and protected him for years." She understands. It was never just about Keller. By 2 in the morning, the roadside is mostly cleared, evidence is logged, witness and officer statements taken. Keller is transported to the FBI field office for formal questioning. Reid finally slides behind his own wheel again, wrists still sore. He pulls back onto the interstate, finishing the drive he started hours ago, under entirely different expectations. The highway is nearly empty now, just his headlights cutting through darkness and the weight of what tonight has triggered. He thinks about all the people Keller planted evidence on before, people without badges, without titles, who couldn't summon justice with a phone call. The ones who pled out because they couldn't afford a lawyer. The ones still carrying records, denied jobs, apartments, dignity. His mother's porch light glows when he finally pulls up. 3:15 a.m. She's still awake, curtains parted. He parks, sits quietly for a moment, letting the engine tick as it cools. Then, he steps out and goes inside. Within 7 minutes of that traffic stop, 3 FBI vehicles had arrived. Keller lost control of the narrative. By sunrise, his department would start losing it too. Day 1, Agent Lauren Pierce opens the official file on Officer Brian Keller. The folder is thicker than anyone would expect for a man with no discipline marks in his personnel record. 38 citizen complaints between 2012 and 2024. 17 allege racial profiling. 9 allege excessive force. 4 specifically describe evidence being planted. 3 claim illegal searches and seizures, every complaint stamped the same way. Unfounded, not sustained, insufficient evidence, no action taken. Pierce reads them in order. A pattern emerges quickly. Complaint 1, March 2012. Marcus Johnson, age 29. Routine traffic stop. Keller claimed he discovered meth in the center console. Johnson insisted it wasn't his. Charges dismissed 6 months later for lack of evidence. The arrest record, however, stayed. Johnson lost his job when his clearance got pulled. Complaint 8, June 2014. Kendra Lewis, 37, pulled over for allegedly failing to signal. Keller searched her vehicle for 40 agonizing minutes. Found nothing. Her complaint mentions Keller calling her mouthy when she dared ask why she was being detained so long. Complaint. 14 August 2017. Anonymous tip to Internal Affairs. Keller keeps extra evidence bags in his trunk. IA looked, found nothing, closed the file. Tips kept coming. The pattern never shifted. Mostly young men, overwhelmingly black, ages roughly 20 to 48. Same clusters of neighborhoods, same story beats, mysterious finds, questionable searches, cases quietly dismissed, lives loudly disrupted. Pierce pulls Keller's arrest stats. On paper, he's a star. Top producer for drug seizures, 15 to 20 narcotics arrests per quarter, always hitting targets, often surpassing them. She compares those numbers against conviction rates. 67% of Keller's drug arrests end in dismissals or plea deals to minor counts. The department's overall rate is 23%. The math is damning. Day 3, the lab results hit her inbox. The cocaine taken from Reid's sedan, serial HG7629, shows as logged in the evidence database on March 4, 2024. Original arresting officer, Keller, routine traffic stop. The defendant in that case pled to simple possession. Case closed. Under policy, the evidence should have been destroyed within 90 days. Instead, it spent half a year riding in Keller's hidden compartment. The 3 additional baggies recovered from his trunk all trace back to separate, closed cases, all Keller's, all marked for destruction and never processed. Forensics writes it plainly in their summary. The substances from Director Reid's vehicle and Keller's trunk are previously cataloged narcotics from closed prosecutions. What Keller did constitutes evidence tampering, theft of government property, and grounds to revisit multiple convictions. Pierce forwards the report to the U.S. Attorney. Day 5, subpoenas land at the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. Full server access granted. Emails, memos, performance reports. Pierce runs keyword searches. Quota, target, bonus, performance. 214 results. She starts reading. Email dated January 10, 2023, from Sheriff Thomas Nolan to all patrol supervisors. Subject, 2023 performance objectives. Gentlemen, budget realities require maintaining drug seizure fund levels. Each officer, a minimum 15 drug arrests per quarter. Focus stops in high-value neighborhoods where recovery likelihood is highest. Target vehicles matching established profiles. This is not optional. High-value neighborhoods, established profiles. Pierce pulls demographic maps. 3 zip codes highlighted. 89% black residents. Matching profiles, she mutters. She doesn't need a translator. Another email, January 15th, from Lieutenant Carter Hayes, Shift Commander. Subject, incentive program rollout. Per the Sheriff's directive, $500 per drug arrest, $1,500 for seizures above 5 grams. Bonuses to be paid quarterly. Pierce pulls Keller's bonus logs for 2023. He pocketed $200 in performance incentives that year alone. Money, she thinks. Always money twisted into justification. More emails show glowing reviews of Keller, commendations for productivity, line item approvals for bonus payouts. Complaints are referenced only as noise. The system reveals itself not through conspiratorial whispers, but through casual office correspondence, written by people who never thought anyone important would actually read them. Day 8. The whistleblower walks into the field office. Deputy Aaron Moore, 52, 26 years on the job. Keller's partner for 15 of them. He sits across from Pierce, coffee cooling untouched, hands trembling. "I can't keep quiet anymore," he says. "Can't keep doing what?" she asks. "Pretending I don't see it," Moore replies, pushing a thumb drive across the table. "It's all on here. Emails, quota charts, performance sheets, sheriff's orders, recordings I made," he explains. "Why now?" Pierce asks. Moore stares at his hands. "I watched that body cam of your director 50 times, watched myself standing back, letting it happen." His voice cracks. "I've been a coward 15 years. My youngest asked me yesterday, 'Daddy, do you catch bad guys?' What am I supposed to say? That I shielded them? He continues. The union circles the wagons around guys like Keller. Speak up, you're done, no promotion, maybe no pension. So I kept my head down. And, Pierce prompts, I saw him plant evidence twice, once in 2019, again in 2023. I didn't file anything. I was scared. You knew about the quota system? Everybody did, Moore says. Nolan spelled it out. Hit your numbers or you're stuck behind a desk, Moore recalls. Top performers get the good shifts, the praise, the money. Bottom performers get pushed out. This stopped being about public safety a long time ago. It's about keeping the forfeiture cash flowing. Pierce pockets the thumb drive. You know this could end your career, she says. I know, he answers, but I can't face my daughters otherwise. Day 10. The financial audit lands. Georgia's state auditor dissects the drug seizure fund. DeKalb County pulls in roughly $1.2 million a year from narcotics-related forfeitures and fines. Split. 40% to the county's general fund, 60% to the sheriff's office. Inside the department, distribution goes 55% to equipment, 45% to performance bonuses. Officer incentives from 2023 through mid-2024, $683,000 total. Top earners, Keller at $38,000, Officer Miller at $35,000, 6 more in the $20,000 plus bracket. Direct financial motivation to make arrests, regardless of whether they actually stand up. Pierce stacks everything on her office table. Complaint logs, racial disparity charts, forensic reports, email printouts, whistleblower testimony, audit summaries. The case is no longer a question of if something's wrong. It's how far the rot reaches. She pins it all to maps. Geographically, 89% of Keller's drug arrests cluster inside those same 3 zip codes Nolan highlighted. Overwhelmingly black neighborhoods branded high value. She overlays stop locations with income data, school zones, even voting precincts. Then she maps it against calendar dates, quarter by quarter. Another pattern sharpens into focus. Arrest spikes in the final week of March, June, September, December. Quarter-end surges. Stats padded just in time for performance reviews and budget meetings. She zooms further in, month by month. Another rhythm appears. Every last week of the month, numbers jump again. When supervisors are closing spreadsheets, Keller is out hunting numbers, not criminals. She circles the trend lines in red ink, the same color used on Keller's commendations. The irony isn't lost on her. Pierce can imagine how it played out. Slow weeks near the start of the quarter, casual stops that go nowhere. Then, as deadlines loom, Keller reaches into that secret trunk compartment for one more bag. Instant probable cause, instant arrest, another bonus check, another life upended. She flips through more emails. Supervisors congratulating him for strong closes at quarter's end, never once asking why his curve spikes. On her whiteboard, she writes 3 words in thick marker: structural, not accidental. This isn't one rogue cop gaming the system. He's a symptom of rules that reward exactly this behavior. Quotas, bonuses, targeted neighborhoods, all spelled out in writing. She steps back, surveying the wall of documents. Patterns don't lie. The system is performing precisely as designed, and Malcolm Reid now has proof. She begins drafting her summary for the director. Complaint records establish a long history of unchecked misconduct. Serial numbers and lab work prove deliberate evidence recycling. Internal emails show explicit quota and bonus schemes focused on black neighborhoods labeled high value. The whistleblower corroborates everything from the inside. Financial records provide motive. She maps it temporally. Quarter-end spikes, month-end bursts, arrest numbers surging right when the spreadsheets close. Arrest spikes line up almost perfectly with bonus payout dates. Pierce starts interviewing victims. 5 agree to put their names on the record. Marcus Johnson, I lost my job, my clearance, my name, over something that was never mine. Kendra Lewis, I can't get behind a wheel without shaking. I see a cop, I shut down. Jamal Turner, complaint 23. He beat me, hospitalized me, planted dope, then lied on the stand. Anonymous complainant. 31. I did 6 months before they dropped everything. 6 months. My kids went into foster care. And Malcolm Reid. I'm director of the FBI, and even I nearly became a statistic. The file grows layer by layer, receipt after receipt. If you've ever wondered how one person can crack a system open, keep listening. The next document. Pierce finds, blows everything wide open. She assembles the final investigative report. 163 pages plus appendices. Evidence logs, victim statements, financial breakdowns, reconstructed timelines. She ships copies to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Subject line: Systemic Civil Rights Violations, DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. But proof alone doesn't topple power. By day 12, the machine pushes back hard. Day 12, the union makes the first move. Press conference on the courthouse steps in front of the sheriff's headquarters. Union lawyer Stephen Cole stands behind a podium under a banner. Protect those who protect you. His statement is polished, rehearsed. Officer Brian Keller has faithfully served this community for 14 years. He's risked his life repeatedly. These accusations are serious but unsubstantiated. Officer Keller followed procedure. The narcotics were recovered during a lawful search. Any claim that he planted evidence is reckless and defamatory. Cole refuses questions. He doesn't have to answer any. The soundbite lands. Sheriff Thomas Nolan responds with a written statement only. No cameras, no podium, just a PDF on official letterhead. We are fully cooperating with federal authorities, it begins, then pivots. However, we are deeply concerned about federal overreach into local policing decisions. Officer Keller's record speaks for itself. We will defend our personnel from politically motivated attacks. The counter-narrative launches. Washington versus hometown heroes, ambition versus service. Day 13, an internal memo circulates, not to the media, but to Keller's allies, union reps, officers who owe him favors. Subject: protect our own. The language is vague but pointed. Some personnel may feel pressured to cooperate with federal investigators. Remember, loyalty is essential. Silence safeguards everyone. Individuals who speak against fellow officers often find their own files scrutinized. The warning never uses the word threat, but nobody misses the meaning. Marcus Johnson gets a knock at his apartment door that evening. 2 officers, friendly smiles, rehearsed concern. Just checking in, they say. Heard you've been talking with the feds. Situations like this can get messy. Wouldn't want anything misunderstood. Johnson doesn't sleep that night. The next day, Kendra Lewis's employer gets an anonymous call. Are you aware your employee has a criminal history? Might want another background check. She's placed on probation within 24 hours. Meanwhile, the young man from complaint 23, now 24, backs away. I must have remembered wrong, he tells Pierce on a recorded call. It was a long time ago. I don't want to be involved. The anonymous complainant from Case 31 disappears altogether, moves to Tennessee, no forwarding address. Deputy Aaron Moore, the whistleblower, receives a text at 3 in the morning from a blocked number. Snitches don't retire. Pensions can vanish. The next afternoon, his wife finds flowers on their porch. No card, no signature, just flowers. Message received. Day 14, the character assassination kicks in. Anonymous blog posts pop up overnight. FBI director abuses power over routine stop. Feds trample local autonomy. Talk radio host ask, was Reid really innocent? Hashtag spread. Stand with Keller. Thousands of new accounts, all pushing the same lines. If he's FBI director, why no motorcade? Why alone? Why that neighborhood? That late? The insinuations come wrapped as questions, but all point one direction. Call-in shows fill with voices swearing Keller's a good man, a protector. He's kept our streets safe for years. This is a witch hunt. Local TV interviews retired cops praising his instincts. Active deputies insist, I'd trust Keller with my life. Before long, Keller is framed as the wronged party. Reid becomes the bully. Day 15, the pressure ramps up. 5 would-be witnesses stop answering FBI calls. 2 attorneys quietly withdraw from representing complainants, citing unforeseen conflicts. No further details. Moore receives notice that his pension is under routine review. No one explains why. Marcus Johnson's credit score suddenly drops 80 points from mysterious hard inquiries. Kendra's car insurance gets canceled without explanation. None of it happens loudly. It's all pressure by 1,000 tiny cuts. A phone call here, paperwork there, a reminder that the institution remembers disloyalty. County commissioners huddle with Nolan behind closed doors. Agenda item: federal interference in local policing. A few state legislators publicly question the FBI's mandate. DeKalb can police itself, they insist. The governor's office issues a bland statement, monitoring the situation closely. The hierarchy closes ranks. Cole releases another union statement, nearly identical to the last. Officer Keller followed department protocol. The narcotics were discovered during a lawful search. Any accusation of planting evidence is defamatory. The sheriff's office declines further comment, citing an ongoing internal review. Pierce watches the pushback roll across news feeds. She's seen this defensive playbook before. Different cities, different uniforms, same tactics. Scare witnesses, smear accusers, rewrite the story. She calls Reid. They're swinging hard, she says. Victims are rattled. 2 have recanted. 3 won't pick up anymore. We anticipated this, Reid answers. Keep tightening the case. We don't need everyone. We need what can't change. The video, the serial numbers, the email trail. Those don't get intimidated. What about Moore? Pierce asks. Protect him. Transfer if you must. He stepped forward. We don't let him get crushed. Day 16, Reid gets a call that has nothing to do with Keller. The hospital. His mother's heart is failing. Wadush, you should come now, the nurse says. He's in a conference room, deposition outlines spread across the table, evidence binders stacked high. Momentum is finally on their side. Pierce reads his expression the second he hangs up. Go, she says softly. We'll handle this. She needs you more. He takes the same interstate, same stretch of I-85 where Keller tried to make him a number. This time he's pushing 90, sirenless, needing time to bend. He doesn't make it. Lillian Reid dies at 4:15 a.m., her son still on the highway. He pulls into the hospital at 4:53, 38 minutes too late. A nurse meets him in the hallway. eyes gentle, practiced. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Reid." She passed peacefully. No pain. He nods, unable to answer. The nurse leads him into the quiet room. His mother lies still, sheet tucked around her shoulders, lines removed, her face relaxed in a way he hasn't seen in months. He sits beside the bed, takes her hand, still faintly warm, and holds on. Words fail. Silence settles. This is the hand that fed him, steadied him on a childhood bike, pointed him toward college, smacked sense into him when he needed it, wrapped him in hugs when the world went cruel. The hand that waved from this same driveway every holiday. He sits there nearly 2 hours as nurses come and go, giving him space. Outside, the day begins like any other. Day 18, the funeral. A small church in rural Georgia, the one Lillian attended for over 40 years. The white paint flakes, wooden pews shine where generations have worn them smooth. The old organ wheezes slightly, off-key. Outside, 3 news trucks, idle. Long lens cameras wait for any crack in the FBI director's armor. Reid arrives in the same Navy suit Keller sneered at. He strides past microphones and shouted questions, steps into the church where about 60 people sit, neighbors, cousins, women from the choir, people who knew Lillian simply as Lillian. Reid delivers the eulogy in a voice that doesn't shake. "My mother taught me one thing above everything else," and he says, "Do what's right when it costs you, especially when it costs you." She lived that way every day, in big and small ways. She never asked for applause. She just kept choosing what was right, and she expected the same from me. He never mentions Keller or the investigation, doesn't need to. Everyone's seen the coverage. Cameras outside hunt for tears pressed up against stained glass. Reid gives them none. His grief is private, not content. After the burial, he lingers by the fresh mound as everyone else drifts away. The Georgia sun presses down, stubborn heat clinging to late summer. He thinks about the promise he made. "I'll be there in 40 minutes, Mama." It took him 35 days to actually arrive. That night, in his mother's empty house, he plays her last voicemail, the one from 2 days before she died. "Malcolm, baby. It's Mama." Her voice trembles through the speaker. "I know you're busy. I know this work is heavy. But I need you to know I'm proud of you. So proud." She pauses, breath thin. "You're doing what's right. I know it costs. I know they're coming for you. But you were born for hard things. Don't let them shrink you. Hear me? Don't let them make you small," she says, voice breaking on small. She was already fading, still giving orders. "I love you, baby. Come see me when you can. Cobbler's waiting." The message ends. Reid closes his eyes. Doubt slides in, unwelcome but relentless. Was this fight worth missing her last days? Missing her last breath? What did the work really cost? He thinks of the 256 people whose names fill Pierce's charts, most without cameras, lawyers, or titles. No badges to flash when a trunk opens. He sees Marcus Johnson staring at foreclosure letters, Kendra trembling behind the wheel, the anonymous father from Complaint 31 who lost his kids for 6 months. He hears Lillian again. Born for hard things. The answer hurts, but it's clear. Yes, the work matters. The loss is real, but so is the harm they're fighting. He wipes away the single tear that escaped and calls Pierce. "What do we have?" "Boss, take time. We've got this." "I'm okay," he lies. "What's our position?" Witnesses are shaky. 2 more backed out. But the hard evidence, video, serials, emails, Moore's statement, that's solid. It's enough. "Then we push." "You sure?" she asks. "My mother didn't raise a quitter," he replies. For 2 days, it looks like Keller might skate again, buoyed by unions, politics, fear. Like Lillian's son gave everything for another departmental shrug. Sometimes, the darkest stretch really does sit right before daylight. What happens next proves truth doesn't need to yell. It just has to survive long enough to be seen. Day 18 again, different battlefield this time. The Atlanta Chronicle runs a front-page investigation. Headline: 256 victims. 1 officer, 0 consequences. Reporter Jessica Allen doesn't soft pedal. Top of the fold, morning edition, 7,000 words. Half a year of digging. Officer Brian Keller spent 14 years planting evidence, the first line reads. We can prove it. The piece opens with Reid, I-85, a baggie, a serial number. Then the turn, Reid is victim 256. Here are the others. Allen lists every person who agreed to be named. Marcus Johnson, Kendra Lewis, Jamal Turner, 40 plus, more. Another 212 appear as anonymized case entries built from arrest records and complaint files. The data spreads across the page like a map of harm. 12-year timeline, dots clustering in 3 zip codes, demographic breakdowns, outcomes charted. 80 plus, percent black men, ages 19 to 46. 67% of cases dismissed or pled to lesser charges. The article tallies financial fallout, more than $1.2 million in civil payouts, all from county insurance, none from Keller's pocket. Taxpayers ultimately footed the bill. Embedded screenshots show Nolan's high-value neighborhood emails, Hayes's bonus memos, Keller's earnings. Moore's testimony appears under a pseudonym. I watched him do it. I stayed silent. That makes me complicit. At 9 a.m., a federal judge rules on the FBI's motion to release the body cam footage. Overwhelming public interest, the order reads. The Chronicle embeds the video at the top of the story. 1 minute, 23 seconds. Timestamp, 0:30, Keller at his trunk. Timestamp, 0:28, blue glove visible, hand reaching into the hidden compartment. Timestamp, 15, baggie in hand, serial number zoomable if you pause. Timestamp, Z23, Keller, walking toward Reid's sedan. Timestamp, Z31, hand disappearing under the driver's seat. Timestamp, 054, dramatic discovery. Timestamp, 115, Keller, lifting the bag into view. No clever editing, no context missing, just a crime caught crystal clear. By 10 a.m., the clip has racked up 3 million views. By 11, Nugger 256 victims trends nationwide. By noon, people start appearing outside the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. At first, they arrive alone. Marcus Johnson stands with a cardboard sign. I am victim of 1. Keller planted meth. I lost my job. Within half an hour, 20 others join, each with a number and a story. Within an hour, 100. By midday, 256 people line the sidewalk, shoulder to shoulder. No chants, no megaphones, no speeches. Just quiet bodies holding quiet signs. The silence hits harder than any shouted slogan. News crews arrive, cameras all over, but the line doesn't turn performative. They simply stand there, hour after hour. Kendra's sign. I am victim, 43. I still wake up screaming. Jamal's. I am victim, 97. He beat me, then lied. One mother holds a sign for her son. I am victim, 142's mom. He told me. I didn't believe him. I do now. The vigil stretches 6 hours. People rotate in and out, but the line never fully breaks. At 3 p.m., Congressman Walters tweets, patterns undeniable, federal inquiry essential, accountability non-negotiable. At 4, the governor's office upgrades its language. Deeply troubled, reviewing all available facts. At 5, DOJ announces its Civil Rights Division is formally opening a pattern and practice investigation into DeKalb County's Sheriff's Office. At 6, Sheriff Nolan shuffles to a press podium for the first time since the Chronicle piece hit. He looks smaller beneath the lights. "We take these allegations with utmost seriousness," he reads. "We will fully cooperate with federal investigators. An internal review is underway." No questions. He retreats quickly. The tide, once carefully controlled, has shifted. In Lillian's living room, Reid watches the protest footage. He sees the faces, the cardboard, the numbers. Hears only the hum of microphones. His phone rings. Pierce. "It's working," she says. "Public pressure's real. DOJ is in. The Chronicle verified everything. We have momentum." Reid doesn't smile. He just watches a teenage girl holding her father's sign. "They deserve this," he says quietly. "They deserve to be seen." "You gave them that." "No," he answers. "They gave it to themselves. We just believe them." Force alone can't crush this now. But power has one more card to play. Day 21, Moore walks into the FBI field office without an appointment. He bypasses the front desk. The security guard recognizes him and waves him through. He rides the elevator up, finds Pierce's door, knocks once, then walks in before she answers. "I've got more," he says, voice hoarse. Pierce looks up from her monitor. Moore looks wrecked, stubble, red eyes, exhaustion hanging off him. "More what?" she asks. He sets another thumb drive on her desk. 15 years of emails, evaluations, Nolan's directives, all of it. She picks it up slowly. "Why now?" "You already gave us your statement." He exhales. "I watched that protest. 256 people. I recognize some of them. I was present when they got hauled in. I stood there," he continues, "pretending I didn't see what I saw. I can't stay that man." Pierce plugs in the drive. Folders populate by year. Hundreds of messages. "Start here," Moore says, pointing. January 2023. She opens one email from Nolan. Subject: 2023 Performance Standards. She reads it aloud. "Focus traffic enforcement on high-value neighborhoods. Target vehicles that fit profile. Monthly arrest quotas, non-negotiable." High value equals seizure money, Moore says. Profile equals race. Nobody needed it spelled out. Another email, April 2023, from Nolan to Keller, Miller, and 6 others. Keller, Miller, team exceeded targets, bonuses approved, outstanding work, maintain pace. Pierce scans message after message. It's not a rogue officer, it's institutionalized policy. July 2024, Nolan to all supervisors. Reminder: 15 drug arrests per officer per quarter. No exceptions. Reviews will reflect compliance. Moore's voice drops. It wasn't just Keller hustling. Leadership built the system. He just ran it. Pierce opens another file dated September 24, 2024, the day after Reid's stop. From Nolan to a communications consultant. Subject: urgent FBI director incident. Keller stopped the FBI director. Yes, that one. Plant caught on body cam. Need crisis management immediately. Budget unlimited. Consultant replies, on it. Can we undermine director's credibility? Nolan, try everything. Pierce looks up. This is conspiracy. Straight from the top. It isn't just Keller hustling side money. It's Nolan and Hayes orchestrating the whole apparatus. Moore slides over a notebook, his own handwriting. Roll call quotes. Hit your numbers, however you have to. Find dealers before they find you. High-value targets are out there. You just gotta stop them. Dated entries, locations, direct quotes. I wrote these down, Moore says, because some part of me knew we'd end up here. Pierce flips through page after page. Quotas announced out loud. racial shortcuts implied, bonuses dangled as motivation, union support promised for top producers. This changes everything, she says. Keller goes down, but so do Nolan, Hayes, and half their inner circle. The department lands under federal oversight. Maybe gets gutted. Moore nods. Good. What we've been doing isn't law enforcement. It's organized predation with paperwork. Pierce's phone rings. Reid. Tell me you've got something, he says. We've got it all, she replies. Moore just handed over Nolan's emails, quotas, racial targeting, PR strategy after your stop. It's all here. Silence stretches for a beat. Can we prove it? Originated from Nolan's account? Already checked. It forensics confirmed authenticity. Then we're not charging one officer, Reid says. We're dismantling a machine. That's exactly what we're about to do, Pierce answers. Call the U.S. attorney, Reid says. The grand jury needs to see everything. Pierce turns to Moore. You ready to testify to all of this under oath? Yes. No hesitation. They'll come harder than before, she warns. This isn't about Keller anymore. This is about everyone who gave him orders. Moore nods. I've got 3 daughters. I want them to know I finally did something right. The financial analysts update their report to match the new evidence. The seizure fund doesn't just tempt officers, it demands arrests. Budget projections rely on forfeiture revenue. Planned gear upgrades depend on cash from drug cases. The system feeds itself. Arrests fuel the budget. The budget requires arrests. Keller isn't a bad apple. He's exactly what the orchard was designed to grow. The probe widens. What started as one traffic stop morphs into a RICO case, an organized, long-running criminal operation wrapped in badges and policy manuals. Pierce rebuilds her summary for the grand jury. Body cam footage, forensic serial matches, a decade of ignored complaints, payout charts, Moore's testimony, and now Nolan's own emails spelling out quotas and racial targeting, intent, knowledge, coordination. 6 days later, the grand jury is empaneled. Keller will be called. So will Nolan. Neither fully understands what they're walking toward. Day 28, federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta. The grand jury room is small, windowless, no cameras, no reporters, just 12 citizens, 8 women, 4 men, reflecting the county's demographics. Keller sits at a table, navy suit instead of uniform, attorney at his elbow. Without a badge, he looks noticeably smaller. Assistant U.S. Attorney Sarah Mitchell stands, files neatly stacked. Ladies and gentlemen, she begins, you will see evidence of systematic civil rights violations, planted evidence, fabricated reports, coordinated cover-ups. This is not about a single traffic stop. It's about 14 years and 256 victims. She rolls the dash cam first. Timestamp shows no traffic offense, no weaving, nothing resembling probable cause. Then the body cam plays. 1 minute, 23 seconds in total. The jurors watch Keller at the trunk, the blue gloves, the bag, the slide under the seat, the pretend discovery. Mitchell pauses. You have just watched Officer Keller commit a federal crime on camera, she says. Now I'll show you why he did it. She walks them through forensics. Serial HG 7629, logged in March, found again in September. Same physical evidence, 2 different defendants. Then the complaint chart, 38 formal grievances over 14 years, names and outcomes listed, 0 discipline. Juror 7 shakes her head slowly. Emails flash next. Nolan's high-value neighborhood directive, Hayes's non-negotiable quota memo, bonus payout spreadsheets. Officer Keller had a direct financial motive to manufacture arrests, Mitchell says. And he did, over and over, to the tune of 256 victims. Moore's video deposition follows. His face fills the monitor. I saw him plant evidence twice, he says. He kept baggies in a hidden compartment, gloves in the trunk, told me to hang back during searches. I looked away. 5 victims testify live. Marcus, Kendra, Jamal, and 2 others. Each story tracks the same arc. Roadside stop, invasive search, sudden discovery, life shattered. Reid testifies last. As FBI director, he's composed, restrained. I'm trained to remain calm under pressure. To document everything, he tells them. Even with all that training and authority, I almost became another number in that spreadsheet. That ought to scare us more than anything. Keller's attorney argues the footage is ambiguous. Chain of custody intact. Mitchell counters. We literally see him placing the drugs. And yes, he documented his own crime meticulously. The defense tries a different tack. My client served honorably for 14 years, the lawyer insists. Exactly, Mitchell replies. 14 years of systematically trampling civil rights. Longevity isn't exoneration, it's aggravation. Keller declines to testify, invoking the 5th. The jurors retire to deliberate. 90 minutes later, they return. The foreperson, a middle school teacher in her 50s, stands. Has the grand jury reached its decision? The judge asks. We have, she answers. On count 1, planting evidence, true bill. Count 2, falsifying police reports, true bill. Count 3, deprivation of rights under color of law, true bill. Count 4, conspiracy to violate civil rights, true bill. 4 counts, 4 indictments. Keller's face goes ashen. His attorney closes his folder, already gaming out trial strategy. Mitchell isn't finished. Your Honor, we have additional indictments, she says. Sealed envelopes are opened, names read aloud. Sheriff Thomas Nolan, Lieutenant Carter Hayes, 3 other supervisors, the union president. Charges: conspiracy, obstruction, civil rights violations. The same system that once insulated Keller now finds itself on the hook. At the bond hearing, Keller's conditions are set. $500,000 bond, ankle monitor, no weapons, passport surrendered. He posts bond, but the badge is gone. The career is dead. Outside, families of victims wait in a quiet cluster. No cheering, just exhaled relief. Reid watches from distance, no podium, no statement. The indictments say everything that needs saying. But this moment isn't an ending, it's a beginning. 48 hours later, Keller is formally terminated. His trial date, 6 months out. Nolan's comes after. 4 other officers land on administrative leave, stripped of street duty. Nolan steps down under mounting pressure. DeKalb County announces sweeping reforms. Body cams, now mandatory and non-discretionary. Officers lose jobs if they switch them off without cause. Arrest quotas, outlawed, language written straight into policy. A civilian oversight board is established, subpoena power included. Evidence logs move to a fully digital, auditable system. No more single officer handling. Every piece of evidence requires dual sign-off. 256 cases go under formal review. 189 arrests are scheduled for expungement. 34 convictions wind their way through appeals. Settlement estimates climb past $8.5 million. Reid makes one public appearance at FBI headquarters. This case was never about me, he says. I was victim 256. There were 255 before me. They deserve more than apologies. They deserve a system that actually works, he continues. No Q&A, no back and forth with reporters. He steps away from the podium. Keller's trial is set for March, Nolan's for April. More will testify in both. Many of the 256 will too. Policy changes start in DeKalb and ripple outward to 14 other departments already flagged in DOJ reviews. A badge can hide evidence for a while, but it can't bury truth forever. When truth finally stands in the open, even entrenched power eventually bends. A badge doesn't place you above the law, it ties you to it. September 23rd, on I-85, a traffic stop looked like one more routine humiliation. It wasn't. It became the crack that revealed the structure holding everything up, not because of who got stopped, but because of what the footage proved. The system wasn't broken, it was functioning exactly as designed. And design can be changed. If this story reminded you why accountability isn't optional, share it. If it forced you to think about institutions that shield themselves instead of protecting the public, talk about it. Power doesn't self-correct. People push it. If you want more stories where justice doesn't just knock politely, but kicks the door off its hinges, stay tuned, because the next Keller, the next Nolan, the next rigged quota system is already out there. What happened in DeKalb shows they can be found, documented, dismantled. Malcolm Reid drove home that night on September 24th. 40 minutes turned into 35 days of hell, but in the end, he made it home. And so did something else, a measure of justice for 256 people who were told their stories didn't matter. Turns out, they did, and they still do. He learns quickly that indictments aren't closure. They're an opening salvo. Keller pleads not guilty. Nolan hires an expensive defense team. Talk shows argue about good cops and bad optics. Meanwhile, Pierce and her squad keep grinding, lining up witnesses, sealing gaps, prepping for trial. 256 people are watching, hoping the system doesn't quietly bargain its way back to normal. At the federal building, conference rooms overflow with boxes, reports, lab results, emails, transcripts. Charts cover the walls. Timelines, arrest clusters, money flows. For the first time, the patterns Reid spent months modeling aren't just lines on a screen. They're the backbone of a historic civil rights case. This isn't a policy memo anymore. It's the government suing itself in open court. Community meetings grow crowded. Some come angry, some skeptical, some just exhausted from hoping. Moore stands in the back of one, cap pulled low, listening as people argue about whether anything will really change. When someone calls all cops corrupt, he feels the hit. When someone thanks whoever finally spoke up, he almost walks out. Instead, he stays. He's part of this now. Reid spends nights at his mother's kitchen table. Case files spread beside her old recipe cards. Peach cobbler stains share space with highlighted briefs. He knows he should sleep, but the quiet house feels like both burden and promise. Every page he reads, every note he scribbles in the margins, feels like a whispered answer to her voicemail. I'm not letting them make me small. National media moves on to the next scandal. But in DeKalb, consequences keep unfolding. Young prosecutors sharpen arguments. Defense attorneys test every seam in the case. Judges sign off on expungements. People leave courthouses lighter than they entered. Some cry in the hallway when clerks hand them paperwork proving the system finally admitted. It lied about who they were. None of it brings back lost years, lost jobs, lost trust. But a door that was welded shut is now cracked open. Other departments notice. Quiet emails land in Pierce's inbox from officers in different states. We have a Keller here. We might have a Nolan. They attach screenshots, incident numbers, grainy photos. The pattern isn't local, it's national, but so is the template to fight it. That's the real legacy of I-85. Not just Keller's fall or Nolan's resignation, but the handbook written in their wake. Preserve the footage, follow the serial numbers, track the money, protect the whistleblowers, believe the people who've been shouting into the void. Accountability stops being a slogan and starts becoming a procedure you can print, teach, and enforce everywhere. On September 23rd, Malcolm Reid was one more black man on a dark highway, hands on the wheel, doing everything right. 40 minutes turned into 35 days of loss and fury. But he reached his mother's house, and justice, limping and late, reached DeKalb. Power didn't fix itself. People did. And that means it can happen again, anywhere someone refuses to stay small. Even power cannot shield you from injustice. If you are in your 60s or 70s, you know this in your bones. No title, no paycheck, no nice car can fully protect a black man on a dark American highway. Director Malcolm Reid followed every rule his mama taught him. Hands on the wheel, voice calm, and still ended up in steel cuffs because one arrogant officer thought his badge was a weapon, not a duty. Corruption grows when good people stay silent. The real villains were not only Keller and his bag of recycled cocaine, but the supervisors who chased quotas, the union that circled the wagons, and the partners who looked away. It took one tired whistleblower, one brave reporter, and 256 wounded citizens to finally crack the wall of denial and make the country look twice. Accountability is painful, slow, and still worth it. Reid's stand cost him precious time with his dying mother, and many victims will never get their lost years back. Yet body cam rules changed, bogus records were wiped, and a blueprint for real oversight was born. For those of us counting grandkids instead of birthdays, that is the legacy we can still fight for. Sekiwanyao. After hearing a Malcolm Reid story and seeing how one routine traffic stop exposed years of planted evidence and broken lives, I'd love to hear from you. Do you believe our justice system can truly reform itself from the inside? Or does real change only come when ordinary people push from the outside, through cameras, complaints, voting, and speaking up? If you've lived through something similar, what would you tell the next generation? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tap like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can keep learning, grieving, and fighting for better together.